Hovercraft CD DVDs by Dave Valier. Participants will create a hovercraft out of household items. Approximate duration is about 1 hour. Materials needed for this activity: a DVD with mounted bottle cap, 3 test balloons, 2 medium-sized balloons, a 1x4 balloon collar, 1 push pin, clear tape, pen or pencil, and a data sheet. What is a hovercraft? A hovercraft is a vehicle that is supported above the surface of land or water by a cushion of air that is produced by a downward-facing fan. You could say they're 1 part boat, 1 part airplane, and 1 part helicopter. If we take a look at the picture on the left, you will see that the 1 part that's helicopter is that there's a fan in the middle, and that's basically there to blow air downward. The part that's a boat is the hull. It basically can run in water just as well as over land. And the part that's a airplane is the fact that it has a fan in the back that blows air to give it propulsion. So that's how a hovercraft will move. Superbly amphibious. That's why military hovercrafts designed for swift beach landings are often called LCACs. LCACs. Landing craft air cushion. Usages. Commercial. How are hovercrafts used? Hovercrafts come in all shapes and sizes, meaning there's a lot of customizations in their design from one hovercraft maker to another. Passenger ferries carrying 400 plus passengers and dozens of cars, to the beach and snow rescue crafts. Hovercrafts are versatile machines. Ships have hulls and propellers that extend into the water and create drag that slows these vessels down. Hovercrafts ride on a forced cushion of air and use less fuel and can reach top speeds of about 90 miles an hour. From the tundra of Sweden to the beaches of Oregon, the hovercraft will easily go where other vehicles can't. On the bottom of the page, you have 3 examples. The first one is a passenger ferry in England. The second one is the Swedish rescue team. And the third one is a hovercraft in the Netherlands for rescue. Usages: military. Hovercrafts traditionally have been used by the military as LCACs, landing craft air cushion, for amphibious landings and for movement of large equipment over land and sea, and it still happens today. More recently, Royal Marines have had a tiny fleet of smaller assault vehicles that were delivered in 2015 and included high-tech weaponry and armored plate cockpits. In 2018, Russia was out of their LCACs, and they agreed to re-engineer their Zubr. It is in manufacturing right now. The pictures across the bottom, going from left to right, the first one is the Navy hovercraft in action in Oregon. This is our U.S. troops running testing of the LCACs. The middle picture is the old Russian Zubr, and the one on the right is the Royal Marines LCAC. Usages: recreational. Hovercrafts for recreational use are popular as ever. Personal watercrafts are available from companies like Neotoric, Universal Renegade, and British Hovercraft. There are racing circuits like we have here for NASCAR, only for hovercrafts all around the world. Sales for hobbyists to customize their own unique hovercraft remain quite strong. You have 3 pictures. The first one is a personal hovercraft from the Toric. The second one is a racing hovercraft, and the third one is a custom-built Bubba-craft. It's basically Bubba Watson's golfing hovercraft. Let's see them in action. There are 4 short videos we have to watch. The first one is from Alaska. It's on the pipeline and it's in the Yukon. Basically, this is a barge type of hauler that comes in and it moves heavy equipment across this big river. The second one is from Christie Hovercraft. This is showing a personal hovercraft. The thing to watch in this one is watch how fast this skirt fills up. The third one is kind of a fun one. It shows a Bubba craft. This is Bubba Watson, who's a professional golfer, and he uses a hovercraft on the golf course. The last one comes from Buckinghamshire, England, and it's showing you the races that they have over there. Pay close attention from second 45 to 55. Three major design types. Hovercrafts come in different shapes and sizes. However, they also have different kinds of designs. And that's based off of the technology that they had present at the time that they were built. There's open plenum, which is using a chamber of pressurized air to hover. There's peripheral jet, which uses a momentum curtain to hover. And there's this thing called flexible skirt, which adds a rubber skirt to capture pressurized air more efficiently. You have two pictures here. The one on the right is showing you a flexible skirt. It's actually used in a race. And the one on the left is a combination of open plenum and peripheral jet. Type 1. Open plenum. Open plenum is one design of a hovercraft where the fan blows into a hollow chamber called a plenum that allows for pressurized air to gather. This creates a high pressure area directly underneath the fan. The pressure results in the force that raises the hovercraft. The diagram on the right is labeled open plenum. You can see that it has a blue fan. That blue fan is facing downward. It is blowing into the hollow chamber. This chamber is what we call the plenum. That's $1 million word, but it's just a container. Okay, it's the same thing as if I took, say, a shoebox and I took the lid off and I turned it upside down. That would be the open part. The open part is facing the ground. So there you have it, the open plenum. In this picture here, it's showing the arrows coming out the bottom, and that is where the air escapes. One advantage of the open plenum design is that it's not as complex as others to build. The disadvantage is that this design is prone to having leaks on the outside walls and allows air to escape. This means that the fan has to run all the time, and that can be wasteful and use fuel. Type 2. Peripheral Jet. Peripheral Jet is one design of a hovercraft where the fan blows directly down into a chamber that has a second, smaller, solid container inside of it. This container directs the air to the sides. This redirection is angled and the space is narrowed along the peripheral sides, thus causing jet. At the very bottom, these jets are pointed inward. This bottom pointing of jets and the high velocity of air going through them forms a momentum cushion of air that the hovercraft will ride on. If we look at the picture on the right, it's labeled Peripheral Jet. You will see that we still have the fan in the middle. However, there's a second tank in this picture, and that second tank forces air to the outside down the craft. Air travels on the peripheral walls through 3 different types of chambers. It narrows the passageway until it gets to the very bottom, where it is now high pressure and high velocity. Air coming out of the jets on the right-hand side want to flow to the left. Air coming out on the left-hand side want to flow on the right. It forms walls of air on both sides. That's the momentum curtain. The air trapped between those walls of air gains high pressure, and that gives you the lift that forces the hovercraft up. The advantage that this type of design has, with far less air, you can gain far more lift. It is much more efficient than other designs. The major disadvantage of this type is that the lift is only about 8 or 9 inches, which is not going to clear waves in the English Channel that well. Flexible skirt. Flexible skirt is a design in which the hovercraft blows into a chamber and creates a momentum curtain. There is a rubber tube called a skirt that is installed around the entire vehicle. it will usually have fingers on it directing the airflow underneath to form the curtain. Advantages. You have a bigger air cushion because the skirt can hold more in, and this also allows the hovercraft to engage waves that are around 3 or 4 feet and objects on land like fallen trees. Stability was greatly increased as well. Disadvantages. Maintenance got harder to do because the fingers kept breaking and needed to be monitored more frequently. Notable improvements. Steering rudders were installed in the back of the fans so that they would allow for easier maneuverability. Fingers were installed on the skirts on the bottoms to make sure that they were all pointing in the same direction, and thus the airflow was magnified. Hulls were made of lightweight aluminum as well as fiberglass. Historical timeline. Basically, this spans over 2 slides, and I'm just going to take you through the real basics, the highlights. In 1950, Christopher Cockerell discovered the momentum curtain concept at his home. In 1959, July 25th, Cockerell and pilot Peter Lamb took the SSW20 across the English Channel from England to France. The SRN-4s, that fleet of ships stopped ferrying passengers in the year 2000. It actually closed for good due to maintenance costs, but more so due to the other transportation available. Channel tunnels made this particular service obsolete. Hovercraft DVD. Step 1. Mount cap to DVD. STEM campers, this has already been done for you. Now I'll walk you through the tasks for this step. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to lay our DVD CDs on a flat surface. I am laying mine on a template so I can actually mark this CD, which is what we're supposed to do next. I'm going to mark it in 4 places, 1 on each side. Okay. The next step here is that I want to take and put glue around the edges. I'm using Loctite super glue. And then I want to fit it right onto the marks that I had made. Okay. And then I'm going to put a bead around the seam here. The last step is to take and put some pressure on this. And for me, I'm just going to put a can on that and set it aside for a few minutes. Hovercraft DVD, Step 2. Create the balloon collar. Now I'll walk you through the tasks for this step. Step 2. Create the balloon collar. We're going to take the cardstock with the alien facing up And we're going to take and cut the right alien from the bottom of his chin right up through his nose to his eyes. Okay. The next step is we have the alien on the left, and we're going to take and cut this from the top of the helmet right down to the start of the face, and we're going to cut that right through the stripe. Okay, the last step is to basically take this and attach the slots. So we're going to coil this. And now our balloon collar is ready to use. Hovercraft DVD. Step 3. Determine the airflow. This is optional. Now I'll walk you through the tasks for this step. Optional step 3. We're basically taking and testing out to see how many holes we need to put in the top of the balloon cover, and I will do that by testing out the small balloons and putting them directly on this opening here. So we'll test this out now. Okay, I twist the top. I'm going to put this on now. That's it. Okay. The air came completely out of that very quickly. That tells me that we need to basically put some kind of something to slow the air coming out of this, and we're going to test this out using a piece of tape, which I'll put over the top right now. Okay. I'm going to start by poking one hole in. We'll try the same test again with just one hole. Okay, we get a little bit. I'm going to try this with 2 holes. Okay. Puncture the 3rd hole in. I'm going to run this test again. Alright. That worked much better with 3. Hovercraft DVD. Step 4. Pushpin holes based on the findings in Step 3. Now I'll walk you through the tasks for this step. 4. Making holes in the top of the blue cap. We have 3 black dots on the top of our blue cap. 1, 2, and 3. We need to make holes with this push pin in all 3. So I'm going to make a hole in black dot number 1. I'm going to make a hole in black dot number 2. And I'm going to make a hole in black dot number 3. And that is it. Hovercraft DVD. Step 5. Use the medium balloons and see if the hovercraft will hover. Now I'll walk you through the tasks for this step. Let's see if this DVD will hover. I have the DVD with the 3 holes at the top. I have a medium-sized balloon and I have a balloon collar. I'll put this on a flat surface and then I'm going to blow the balloon up. I'm going to twist it twice. I'm going to slip the balloon onto the top. I'm now going to put the collar on. Alright, now I'm going to twist this off to get it to a point where we have air going through. Fun things. Try to run this on different surfaces. In other words, does it run on a rug? Will it run on a wood floor? Does it run across the table? Does it run on a kitchen floor? Does it run over tiles? How does that run best? How could we make this better? Think about it. What would we do differently? The last thing is, you can check out this cool Mythbusters video of a hovercraft as they test it going through a minefield. So this would be like a military use. Check it out.